Jose Sousa, great to see you as always. Thanks for being
Thank
here.
you. Thank you for having me. This is great.
Absolutely. So, Jose, you've had such an amazing career so far, and many, many more years ahead of you. But you've spoken to me about a lot of people have had tremendous influence on your career and your life. And I know you want to share someone from earlier in your career, which I think is really, really awesome. And I think when I ask people these questions about the type of talent who have had the biggest impact, naturally you go back because you have that perspective of so many years. So who's one of your six from earlier in your career?
Well, that's a great question. And I struggled with this because I was blessed with um, the ability to never meet a stranger. So I always asked these kinds of questions growing up so I could learn from people who were smarter than me and more well established. And as a result, when I thought about who one of my six was, I really became quite obvious that it was somebody who I met my freshman year of college.
Hmm.
And he is a retired Marine Corps colonel by the name of Ronald Cruz. I was introduced to him by one of my professors at Catholic University, actually, who, when he found out that my family was of Portuguese background, said, "Oh, have you met Ron Cruz?" And I said, "Oh, I don't know the name," and indicated that Ron was the president of an organization called the Portuguese American Leadership Council of the United States, based in DC. And so there I was in the spring of 1998, meeting him for the first time, explaining who I was, what I wanted to do, and he took me on as an intern early on. And so he's been one of my six since that moment and has played an outsized role in many of my career decisions over the past 20 years.
Fantastic. Maybe to dig into that a little bit, first of all, really cool that you got the connection through someone who was in, was a teacher and just took interest in you. That's pretty awesome. These some of these connections oftentimes come from other connections, and obviously, as somebody who served in the military, and a colonel at that, has a lot of leadership qualities that he's developed. I'd love to take this, one way in particular, but feel free to go however you like. Ron, was he able to be a good connector to other people for you as well?
Absolutely. And I can't stress how important that was sort of at the beginning part of my career. Not only had he kind of developed a network of contacts through his military career, but also he had kind of taken on work in the international trade business soon after that. And so I just remember him really bringing me along to meetings that I had no business going to at the ripe age of 18 or 19 and thinking through how lucky I was. But at the same time, taking my lead from him on sort of what he wore, how he prepared, how he comported himself in that meeting. And as a young man who was sort of new to the white collar world of what was happening, it was important to have that kind of mentor playing those roles. I mean, I had the benefit of a wonderful father who taught me a lot of those things, but was not of sort of a corporate environment, did not navigate those spaces. So it was also helpful in the sense that Ronald had grown up in a household similar to mine, of the son of Portuguese immigrants who had strong values of faith, family, and hard work instilled in him. And he sort of became a pseudo father figure to me in Washington after I'd gotten down here and started working with him at that point in time.
Fantastic. Did he ever make a connection to you that where the people just wouldn't meet with you?
No, no. In fact, quite the opposite. I think a phone call from Ron was sort of like instant, um, instant, clarity, and he opened many doors. I remember distinctly after having worked with him for about a year or two, he knew that I had wanted to expand my horizon a bit. I was a politics major, wanted to get a little bit more into the world of legislative work, the phone, and the next thing I knew, I was meeting with the senior staff of United States congressmen about 2 or 3 days later. And that phone call, very much outside of the timetable and frame of when they typically took on interns, yielded an opportunity that really allowed me to do much more substantive work as an upperclassman, working on constituent casework for the Portuguese community in Rhode Island through a congressman there. And that would never have happened had Ron not been the conduit to that relationship.
Well, Jose, thank you for sharing a little bit about Ron. And I think this will be a real inspiration to a lot of young people to make sure that they connect with people on campus who may have connections you would have never expected. and then to continue to invest in those relationships. Are you still in touch with Ron?
I am. I will say this, not all careers are linear. And I had a little bit of a setback when I first moved back to Washington, soon after I got married, where one of the jobs I'd taken had not really worked out the way that I wanted to. And I went to him saying, I'm not really sure what to do. How do I sort of get back on track with what this has been? And he was extremely beneficial and helpful with, again, setting me up with a couple of his colleagues for informational interviews. And through that process really allowed me to glean what it was I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it, and where I wanted to do it. And he played such a key role because he had known me as a young man and sort of knew me then in that new role as a new husband and father, and had those perspectives that also informed that and kind of came back to that. So that was almost 15 years ago, and I'm happy to report that we still engage on a pretty regular basis.
Amazing. Phenomenal when somebody shares your vision and then helps you go execute on it. Jose, thanks as always. I wish we could just keep talking about this. We will at some other point.
Absolutely.
But I really appreciate you taking the time today.
Thank you so much, Pat. Hope you have a great day.
Thanks. You too.